Welcome to Reflect on This. Hello, I am Johnny Henshaw. This is the podcast version of devotionals I send to my family and friends. In these devotionals, I share the things I'm learning about the ways and nature of God through applying my study of the Scriptures to the world around me. And don't forget to keep listening at the conclusion of today's episode to hear about my recommended resources, such as podcasts that I find helpful and encouraging, books that inspired some of these episodes, and ministries that I want you to know about. So let's get started. Please join me today as we reflect on this. In the previous episode of this podcast, I shared the remarkable story of Gary Chapman and how his life was an unexpected preparation orchestrated by God to write his landmark book. Gary and his wife wanted to be missionaries. He applied multiple times to the mission board. Each time they said no, and that he should do something else to prepare for the mission field. And each time he did what the mission board said to do. First, go to seminary, then pastor for a while, then get his PhD degree. And each time the mission board then said no. If you missed that episode, I encourage you to check it out to hear the surprising end to Gary's life story. Today, I want to share with you another story of a life of unexpected preparation. The following is a powerful illustration from the excellent book entitled Dream Small, The Secret Power of the Ordinary Life by Seth Lewis. I highly recommend this book and have included a link to purchase this book in the show notes. Here is the story. As the runners gathered at the starting line of the 1983 Sydney to Melbourne Ultramarathon, it was obvious that one of them was not like the others. The other athletes were outfitted with expensive equipment and detailed plans for how they would tackle the 543-mile race. Cliff Young, a 61-year-old farmer, showed up in overalls and work boots. When questioned by a curious reporter, he said, "I grew up on a farm where we couldn't afford horses or four-wheel drives, and the whole time I was growing up, until about 8 years ago when we finally made some money and got a four-wheeler, whenever the storms would roll in, I'd have to go out and round up the sheep. We had 2,000 sheep on 2,000 acres. Sometimes I'd have to run those sheep for 2 or 3 days. It took a long time, but I'd catch them. I believe I can run this race." For the next 5 days, he ran. Well, kind of. Most witnesses describe it as more of a shuffle. It was not fast. At the end of the first day, the crowd of professional athletes were far ahead of him. Then, after 18 hours of running, they stopped to rest, but Cliff kept going. He shuffled on and barely slept at all. In the end, he shuffled all the way to the finish line, a full 10 hours ahead of the next contestant. He said afterwards that he had imagined he was chasing after sheep and trying to outrun a storm. You could say that Cliff didn't train for the race, but you would be wrong. His whole life was training. Chasing sheep is hard work, even if it's not the kind of work most people notice or applaud. Cliff Young had spent his life on things the other contestants probably considered irrelevant, but they didn't think that at the finish line. In a similar way, the work you put into small dreams may go unnoticed by the world around you. You may not gain attention or applause for it. But when the finish line of life comes, the hard work you put into loving God and others now will pay off more than you or anyone around you today can imagine. Jesus said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in His Father's glory with His angels, and then He will reward each person according to what they have done. Matthew 16, verses 24 through 27. The paradox of living is that those who run hard to win their own life will lose everything in the end, no matter how big their pile of winnings is, while those who give up their lives to run after God and the dreams He made for them will run straight into the arms of life Himself. After all, Jesus said, "I am the way and the truth and the life," John 14:6, because life is a person, not a thing. The closer we are to Jesus, the more we experience His promise in John 10:10. "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." That is why the writer of Hebrews tells us to throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, so that we can run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Hebrews 12, 1 through 2. Jesus is the one who planned this race for us, the one who gives us the strength to run it, and our greatest prize at the finish line. As this story so well illustrates, as well as the story of Gary Chapman, if believers are focused on listening to God and pursuing Him in their day-to-day activities instead of pursuing their own dreams for success, their lives become a preparation orchestrated by God for significant and unexpected outcomes. Today, I encourage you to reflect on this. Today's featured resource is the Bible Study software package entitled eSword. This free Bible study software is available for download to a wide range of computers and mobile devices, including Windows and Mac computers, and Apple and Android tablets and phones. The download includes several free public domain resources, including Bibles, dictionaries, commentaries, devotionals, and maps. You can then download from within the eSword program many more free public domain resources. You can optionally purchase whatever copyrighted resources you want to create a powerful study library. One of the greatest benefits of Bible study with this software is the multi-windowed display, so that you can simultaneously have windows open to a Bible translation, a dictionary, and a commentary. They are automatically linked, so that if you select a verse, then the corresponding entry in the selected dictionary and commentary are displayed. You can also easily compare Bible translations by viewing them in parallel windows. For the Bible translations that have embedded Strong's numbers, referencing the corresponding Hebrew or Greek word, you can hover over a Strong's number and a tooltip pops up with the Strong's definition for that word. To learn more and to get a free download of this amazing study tool, on your computer go to esword.net, that's e-sword.net. On your mobile device, go to your App Store and search for eSword, that's e-sword.